Welcome everyone to another awesome video. Today we're diving into Ahri's lore so you don't have to. I've linked Ahri's story and full bio from League of Legends as well so you can follow along. The world of League of Legends is massive, so for this video we're only going to focus on the base character, but make sure to hit that subscribe button for videos focused on skins and chroma lore. Ahri is one of the base characters players have access to when booting up 2xKO. She is Riot's most popular character, and prettiest if I might add. Before 2xKO, she was the 89th champion to League of Legends, and as one of the mid lane mage champions. 2xKO's description of Ahri is the following: a fox-like Vastaya who can manipulate her prey's emotions and consume their essence. But who exactly is this gorgeous vixen? For that, we have to dive into her bio from League. For those that would like to hear the audio of her bio, I'll have that towards the end of the video so you can read along. So skip ahead if you don't want to be able to get spoiled. Ahri originally was an ice fox that discovered her powerful spirit magic, thanks to her natural curiosity. Upon exploring her powers, she learned to drain living beings' life essence and observing memories and emotions. At first, she was greedy, loving and enjoying the cycle of draining mortal lives while feasting on their emotions and becoming powerful. But at some point though, she started to develop the very emotions she devoured. As she matured and began to realize the depth of her power, she also started to realize the cost, becoming guilty and even seeing herself as a monster. But with this power came knowledge. Ahri developed words and emotions, and at this point in her life, she realized she no longer was thinking and moving like an ice fox. She was moving like a human. Always keeping her distance, she joined mortal society and started to experiencing what it was like being a human from Ionia. Despite her guilt and her self-realization, she fell in love with an artist who was all too willing to give his life essence in exchange for her heart. Ahri experienced the joys of love and being loved for her first time in her life, and she was filled with warmth and good days. Her hunger was also appeased until one day, she lost control. She drained her lover completely of his life essence and fell into despair after his death. Her first love consumed, and her grief just forced her to isolate herself, and she was obsessed in learning her origins in the hopes of understanding her abilities. After some time, she set her sights to actually leave Ionia and travel across Runeterra in hopes of discovering more about her tribe and her origins so that she could master her magic. And using the memories of the past, she looks to the future to bring good into the world that is no longer burdened behind the pain of old memories. And if you want to see her journey in action, let me read to you a little bit about her story so you can get a better idea of exactly who she is. Ahri's story is actually a fair trade by Rayla Hyde, and it starts off with: the market smelled of burning incense and rotting cabbage. Ahri wrapped her cloak around her 9 tails and filled with her twin sunstone tokens to distract herself from the stench, rolling them between her fingers and snapping them together. Each one had the shape of a blazing flame, but they were carved in such a way that their sharper edges fit together, forming a perfectly smooth orb. She had carried the golden suns since before she could remember, though she had no knowledge of their origin. And though Ahri was in a new environment, she was comforted by the latent magic buzzing all around her. She had passed dozens of stands with woven baskets filled to the brim with polished rocks, shells etched with legends from a seafaring tribe, gambling dice carved from bones, and other curious items. But nothing matched to the style of Ahri's sculpted tokens. "Care for a gem to match the blue of the skies?" asked the gray-bearded merchant. "For you I'll trade a cerulean bauble for the cost of a single gray-raven feather, or perhaps the seed of a jubiji tree. I'm flexible." Ahri smiled at him, but shook her head and continued through the market, sunstones in hand. She passed a stand covered in spiky orange vegetables, a child selling fruit that shifted color with the weather, and at least 3 peddlers swinging tins of incense, each of whom claimed to have discovered the deepest form of meditation. fortunes! Come get your fortunes told, called a young woman with lavender eyes and a soft jawline. Find out who you'll fall in love with or how to avoid unlucky situations with a pinch of burdock root. Or if you prefer your future left to the gods, I'll answer a question about your past, though I do recommend finding out whether or not you're at risk for death by poisoning. A tall Vastaya with feline ears was about to take a bite of some spice pastry. He froze and stared at the fortune teller in alarm. The answer is no, by the way, yours for free, she said, cursing at him before turning to Ahri. Now you look like you've had a dark and mysterious past, or at least some tales worth sharing. Any burning questions for me, lady? Beneath heavy layers of incense, Ahri paused at the scent of wet fur and spiced leather lingering at the woman's neck. Thank you, but no, she replied. I'm still looking around. You won't find any more Yamello tokens in this market, I'm afraid, the woman said, nodding to Ahri's sunstones, like the ones you have. The back of Ahri's neck prickled and she drew closer to the woman. She would not let her excitement get the better of her. Do you recognize these? Where do they come from? The woman eyed Ahri. I think they're Yamellos, anyway. Never seen a pair in person. He only carved a smart number in his time, and many of the sets were separated in the war. Dead rare, those. Ahri leaned closer with each word. I'm Hirin, by the way, the woman said. Do you know where I might find this craftsman? Ahri asked. Hirin laughed. No idea, but if you come in, I'll tell you what I know. Ahri wrapped her cloak around her shoulders and eagerly followed the fortune teller past her booth and into a caravan decorated wall to wall with animal skins. Tea, Hirin said. I brewed it this morning. She poured 2 cups of liquid the color of plum wine, taking one for herself. The tea tasted of bitter oak bark masked by a cloying dollop of honey. Hirin held out a hand for the stones, but Ahri kept them close. I'm getting the sense that these are special to you, she said with a wry smile. Don't worry, I have no interest in peddling stolen sunstones. Bad for a girl's reputation. Can you tell me where they come from? Asked Ahri, handing them over gingerly. Hirin held them up to the light. These are beautiful. I don't know how they fit together so perfectly. I've not seen the like. Ahri said nothing. She stood frozen with curiosity and did not take her eyes off the woman. Legend says the sculptor known as Yamello collected fossilized lizard eggs from 1,000 years ago that he carved into intricate shapes. These ancient lizards lived long before the Gedu Sea dried up to a desert, leaving only petrified bones and dust. Hirin coughed, and Ahri detected a bitter note upon her breath, as if she had been drinking vinegar. Yamello stones are designed as small pieces that fit into a larger sculpture, she continued. The woman dangled the golden pieces in front of Ahri's face. Just as your past has left you with the information to be desired, these stones may have many more parts that, when combined, create another shape altogether. Who knows what you'll become when you track down your history? With the missing pieces, you may learn more than you'd like. Those are pretty words, Ahri murmured, staring at the woman. After a moment of silence, Hirin chuckled. Some threads of truth, threads of my own invention. A fortune teller's weaving must be seamless. The woman retrieved the hunter's knife from a cabinet. I weave in just enough of what you desire to make you stay, till this tea slows your muscles, that is. A low growl escaped Ahri's lips. She would tear this woman apart. She tried to pounce, but her limbs did not obey. She was rooted in place. Oh, there's no need for that, lady. I only need a single tail, useful for a variety of potions, you see, and extremely valuable. Or so I think. Never seen a Vastaya with foxtails before. The tea freezes any pain, along with your mobility. Hirin wrapped the bandage around one of Ahri's tails. Ahri tried to resist, but she still could not move. You'll wake up tomorrow good as new, said the woman. Well, with one less tail. Do you really use all 9? Ahri shut her eyes and reached out to the reservoirs of magic around her. The environment had plenty ripe for the taking, but she was too weakened by the tea to draw them to her. Instead, she reached into Hiren's mind, which was far more malleable, and pushed. Ahri opened her eyes and stared hard into Hiren's. They deepened from lavender to violet. "Hiren," she said, "come closer. I would look into the face of the one who tricked me." "Of course, lady," Hiren replied, transfixed. The woman's voice sounded hollow, as though it came from the bottom of a well. She leaned in until her face was only inches away. Ahri inhaled, drawing essence of the woman's life from her breath. Hiren was a young girl hiding, hungry and afraid, beneath a market stall. Two men argued above, looking for her. She had nothing but empty coffers to show for her day's work. Ahri continued to drain Hiren's life, sampling memories of raw emotion. They felt rich in Ahri's mouth, and she relished each unique flavor of emotion. Hiren told the fortune of a witch doctor shrouded in veils, receiving a copper for her troubles. She used the coin to buy a piece of bread, which she devoured in seconds. In a seedy tavern, a raucous group played cards. A man with eyebrows resembling butterfly wings gambled the golden Yamelo stone, while Hiren watched from the shadows. Hiren tracked Ahri as she walked through the market. One of her foxtails peeked from beneath her cloak. She drew the Vastaya into her caravan. Enough. Ahri stopped, her head spinning with renewed vigor. With each memory she stole from Hiren, she felt energy rush back into her weakened muscles, cleansing them of the poison. Strengthened once more, she slowly shook her limbs awake and flexed her tails with a shiver. They tingled with pinpricks. Hiren stood wide-eyed and dazed, still very much alive. It was she that would wake tomorrow, good as new, less a few memories that she would not miss. With knowledge of the woman's life, Ahri's rage had faded. She brushed her hand against the fortune teller's cheek, then wrapped her cloak tightly around her shoulders and stepped into the sunlit market. Hiren would not remember her or their encounter, but Ahri had left the trade with a name to hunt, Yamelo, and the image of the man with soft winged eyebrows was burned in her mind. And that is a story about Ahri. Let me know how you guys feel about her lore and what you thought of the video, and definitely leave a like and a comment. I'm also going to be reading her bio here now as well if you just skipped to the video. Thanks, guys! Ahri the Nine-Tailed Fox. For most of her life, Ahri's origins were a mystery to her. The history of her Vastayan tribe all but lost, save for the twin gemstones she had carried her entire life. Ahri's earliest memories are of running with ice foxes in the northern reaches of Shanjian. Though she knew she was not one of them, they clearly saw her as something of a kindred spirit and came to accept her within the pack. In that wild, predatory existence, Ahri nonetheless felt a deeper connection to the forests around her. In time, she came to understand that this was the magic of the Vastaya that coursed through every fiber of her being, and the realm of spirits that lay beyond. With no one to teach her, instead she learned to call upon this power in her own ways, most often using it to quicken her reflexes in pursuit of prey. If she was careful and close enough, she also found she might soothe the panicked deer so that it remained serene and calm even as she and her packmates sank their teeth into its flesh. The world of mortals was as distant and unsettling to Ahri as it was to the ice foxes, but she felt drawn to it for a reason she could not explain. Humans, in particular, were coarse, gruff creatures, and when a band of huntsmen camped nearby, Ahri watched them from afar as they went about their grim business. When one of them was wounded by a stray arrow, Ahri could feel his life seeping away. Knowing nothing but the instincts of a predator, she savored the spirit essence leaving his body, and through it gained brief flashes of his memories. The lover he had lost in battle, and the children he had left behind when he came north. Ahri subtly pushed his emotions from fear to sorrow to joy, and comforted him with the visions of a sun-soaked meadow as he died. Afterwards, she found that human words now came to her easily, like something from a half-remembered dream, and Ahri knew the time had come to leave the pack behind. Keeping to the fringes of society, she felt more alive than ever. Her predatory nature remained, but she was caught up in a riot of new experiences, emotions, and customs across Ionia. Mortals, it seemed, also became fascinated by her in return, and she often used this to her advantage, draining their essence while charming them with recollections of beauty, hallucinations of deep longing, and occasionally dreams colored by raw sorrow. She grew drunk on memories that were not her own and exhilarated in ending the lives of others, even as she felt the grief and woe she brought to her victims. She experienced heartache and elation in tantalizing flashes that left her craving more. It was overwhelming, but she sensed her own power fading whenever she tried to stay away, and could not help but partake again and again. In time, she began to see herself as mortals did, a monster. Until one day, an artist stumbled upon her, hunched over a man as she drained his life essence from him. Where others would run, he stayed, offering his own life essence in exchange for her heart. For the first time in her life, Ahri let herself fall in love and be loved wholly and completely. Their days passed in warmth and laughter, Ahri curbing her hunger by feeding on her lover. She was truly happy, until she lost control, draining him completely. Ahri fell into despair, her grief consuming her as she mourned the loss of the first and only person she's ever truly loved. Retreating even further from society, she became consumed with learning more about where she came from, in hopes that it would help her control her abilities. With her twin sunstones in hand, she set out in search of others like her, a journey that would take her out of Ionia and across Runeterra, eventually leading her to the discovery of her ancestors, the Visani, a Vestalian tribe that brought innovation and magic to the world before being wiped out. Inspired by their memories, Ahri has set off to travel the world in search of other remnants of the Visani. She hopes to carry their legacy forward, bringing good into the world like they did. And no longer burdened by the heavy weight of her regrets, she also hopes to finally leave her stolen memories behind and create new ones of her own.